Hi. Right, so let's just have an overview of what exactly we're going to be covering over here. And this video actually has just this one page. So let's just discuss what we're looking at in front of us. First of all, let's look at the bigger picture. We can either work for money, which is what most of us do. We either have jobs or, we are contractors or, we have careers of some kind. And many of us who have businesses, our businesses are actually jobs because if we don't show up that day, then, nothing gets done. So that's called working for money. We're very familiar with working for money. On the other side, a lot of us are not familiar with a very interesting concept whereby money is working for you. Okay? So these are the two poles that we're going to be sort of looking at, and somehow they tie in together. You can't, it's possible for you to live on just one side. In fact, most people live on this one side whereby they're working for money. And very few people on earth actually have money working for them. Now, even those who have money working for them, they still somehow have something to do with working for money once in a while. There are very few people on this planet who are 100% on this side where they have money working for them. Most people are on the right side working for money. A few people have sort of crossed the bridge and they have both sides working for money, and then very few have just on the other side. So now, again, like we said, we're not going to define everything right here. This is just an overview video, but it's a very important overview video because it allows your mind to put things together the way they should be. Now, looking at this side on the right, working for money, there are two aspects of this, okay? There's discovering a unique value, and then there's climbing up the wealth levels. Why is it only those two? First of all, let's clarify another thing here. This course is not about, we're not going to give you career advice. We're not going to say, like, this is the best job for you, or you need to do this business, or you need to get into that line of work, and then you need to do that line of work in a certain way. That's not what we're doing here. There's plenty of other information on that, and you can go find it. What we're doing here is looking at core ideas that can work for everybody, regardless of what line of work they're in, what career, what passion, whatever. Just fundamentals that have worked for generations upon generations and have been proven by the rich to work. Having said that, now you'll better start to understand why there's so few, just four pieces of a puzzle here. There's so few, and that that looks like a little bit too thin, right? Now let's understand why it's so. Number one, look at the unique value aspect. Okay, ask yourself, when is the last time you paid somebody some money for something? Why did you pay them? And I'll give you an answer. It's because either they saved you time, or they saved you effort, or they did something that you couldn't be able to do and you needed. Okay? When is the last time you paid somebody to do something that you do for yourself anyways? It's almost impossible. Like those things that you do for yourself and you find so easy to do and it's pleasurable to do and you can do it easy, you have to be nuts to pay somebody to do them for you, right? But those things that you need but you just can't do, or you don't have time to do, or you don't know how to do them, or you just, one way or another, or your way of doing them ain't cutting it. You look for somebody who can, and you're desperate, and when you find them, you just want to pay them and get it done, and you're so grateful even, so that's the concept of the unique value. Each one of us has something unique that is valuable, either maybe the way we do a certain thing, or we are the only ones who can do it, or maybe other people can do it but we do it a certain way. That's whatever. So that thing that is unique to us, the value that is unique to us, and remember, each one of us has unique value, just like each one of us has a unique thumbprint, and so on. We are all unique individuals. We have a unique value. So that's the first part. When you want to earn more money, when you're working for money, is to discover unique value and then multiply it and magnify it. In other words, leverage it. Okay? Now, that sounds like such a simple concept, and it is, but most people don't know that. Most people try to copy other people. Instead of trying to be unique and be themselves, they try to copy other people. You see, so it's such a simple concept, but most people do the exact opposite. Instead of embracing their uniqueness, they try to copy others. They want to be like somebody else all the time. And you're gonna suck at being somebody else because that's not you. So that means when you try to be somebody else, you're not really gonna be as great as they are, and people are gonna notice that, and people are not gonna reward you for it. People won't reward you for what no one else can be and do except you. So it brings us to the next level. Once you've got that sorted, number one sorted, we go to number two. Now, I want you to think of this. Think of McDonald's. I think everybody knows what McDonald's is, so it's a very safe example. Okay. Now, we may not all like the quality of hamburgers McDonald's like, but we know it's a very large business and we don't even know who owns it. It's a bunch of shareholders everywhere, right? The owner of McDonald's doesn't show up to make you a burger, right? But then when you go to your corner restaurant or even like a fast food joint or just a grocery shop or something, you can get very nice burgers. They are made by the owner. The owner actually has to show up and make you that burger. Okay? So although we're talking of hamburgers, there's one person who sort of has to show up and make the burger, and then there's the other person who doesn't even know whether like McDonald's. When you think about it, they got thousands of shops, right? I'm sure the major shareholders don't even know where they all are. They just, they don't even need to know where they are. So I'm giving you an idea that the same thing, making hamburgers, has different wealth levels. Okay, this was a very rough example. I mean, there are actually 9 wealth levels, but the example I'm giving you here is that let's say if your unique value was hamburger making, you're a very good hamburger maker, okay? You can play that hamburger game on so many different levels from level 1 all the way to level 9, and each one of them will give you a different result, okay? For example, let me give you a quick one. How much money do you think you can make if you had to show up to make your burgers? You're limited to you having to show up, and then you only have 8 hours a day, and you can only make so many burgers an hour. So that's kind of like your limit. If you want to do more than that, you have to turn that into a whole different level, a whole different design of a business or an entity. You see, one that now allows you to step aside, and the whole thing becomes a formula, and that's what McDonald's did. But anyways, the levels of wealth are 9 of them, and they're in 3 categories, as we'll see when we get there. You got personal wealth levels at the very bottom. That's where you and I master how to manage our own personal money. And then the second level is business wealth mastery, whereby now we've expanded beyond ourselves when we're talking about an enterprise, and beyond that there's societal wealth levels. Each one of those 3 has 3 levels within each. Okay. Now look at number 3, which is investments. All right. Now we're crossing into the zone of having money work for you. Okay. And there are 2 bits and pieces here. I'll actually talk less about them than I did on number 1 and 2, because we actually go into very big detail when we get into the actual lessons for these 2. So having money working for you has 2 areas. You can be an investor, or you can be a business owner, or you can be both. Okay, like in the example we just talked about with the hamburger. If you are a hamburger maker and you wanted to cross over into a place where you don't have to show up for making the burgers, maybe you wanted to franchise your particular brand of hamburgers. Now you've crossed into business. Okay, now business is actually on both ends. I mean, it's a lot of people who have their own businesses, but they have to show up for work. Otherwise, the business doesn't run. Don't really have a business. A business is something that actually is systemized and so on. It's got structures whereby it's good if you show up, because you provide leadership and everything. But if you don't show up, the business still runs. Now that's a true business. Okay. So now let's look at real quick the investments and the businesses. Now, one thing I want to say about investments is that you see, most of the people on this planet who actually do invest usually in, let's say, mutual funds. Okay, or some of them buy a little bit of real estate here and there. I call that retail investing. Okay, it's kind of like putting all your eggs in one basket, and you're not really sure what you're doing. You haven't really considered things like asset allocation, and then when things go down, you lose half your investment. That's kind of more like speculation. What we're going to cover here is true investing, the way billionaires do it. Billionaires follow certain things that are not intuitive. But anyone can do it. It's just that it's not intuitive and it's not really taught. So that's what we're going to cover, and we're going to understand how to put in money in ways that you don't lose it, or you don't lose much of it, no matter what the economy does. And also we're going to discover how these investments can provide a garden that then starts to give us money. Okay, so at one point your garden will be so big that the money you get from it makes you optionally, if you want to stop working for money. There's a point at which your investment will be making more money than your income from your career. Then at that point, you can choose to stay at work or not to stay at work. Okay, so we look at investments. It's a very, very interesting topic, but it's actually not going to be what you think it is. Okay, for most of us. And then number 4 is businesses. Okay, we're going to look at how to set up, if you want. It's not a must, but if you want, we're going to look at how to set up a small business, and we're going to look at all the aspects, all the ingredients that go into a successful business, because each one of these things has very, very specific steps or points or principles. It's just that we are not taught, but they are not random. Okay, so what we're going to do is make them not random. We're going to actually look in and see the machinery of how great businesses work, for example, or how great investments are put together, and so on. Okay, so I hope that gives you an overview, an overall idea of what we're doing here, and this is how they all fit and how they all come together. So now we are ready to get started into the actual lectures and sections.